Welcome back to Time Out for Black History. We've been on a little break. We had a winter break for school, so been away from the computer a little bit. I wanted to post my thought for the day for 2/22/21. Uh, Recent news out of Georgia that Georgia's attempting to pass legislation to limit absentee ballot voting in the name of voter integrity. I always find this argument to be so predictable and so sad in some sense. We go back to the days of 1880, 1890, when the Democratic Party of the South, again, Democrats and Republicans are very different today than they were in 1890, but the Democratic Party of the South attempting to implement as many things as they could, literacy tests, poll taxes, grandfather clause, 8-box law, all the different ways to try and suppress voting the best they could. And so these absentee voting restrictions are very similar in my eyes. Now, the idea behind them is that you have to provide an excuse for why you need to absentee vote. Now, again, I always call on anybody, provide me with the extreme evidence. Again, I'm not talking about Jim in Orlando County voted twice. I'm talking about widespread voter fraud as a result of absentee voting. If you can't find widespread voter fraud that actually influences elections, then why would you ever want to make it more difficult for people to vote in America? My statement's always this: if you're trying to limit voting in America, you're not really an American. It's not what this process is supposed to be about. So I'd be very interested in hearing your ideas on it. I, for one, believe that it's a way to suppress the vote of minority communities, especially when this particular state, Georgia, has had absentee voting for over a decade, almost 2 decades. And suddenly, when the state flips blue, they want to start putting restrictions on absentee voting, which is done primarily by Democrats. So let me hear your input on it. But to me, it's almost pathetic in its origin, and it's historical. And the only reason they can do it is because of the repealing of the Voting Rights Act of 1965. Because supposedly racism doesn't exist anymore, and so they don't really need the protections, is the argument behind that. But I'd love to hear your ideas. If you have a feeling about it one way or the other, please put it in the comments. And again, subscribe to the show, and I look forward to talking to you again.